Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to Pie in the Sky Tours, your one-stop shop for all things Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. In today's video, I want to discuss the current state of VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I'll look at the pros and cons, as well as my own personal views as a consumer and a content creator. The aim of this is to air my thoughts, in hope that this will spark some conversations with you about how things can improve and what we want from VR as a community. I think the more we share our own thoughts and experiences, the less we will stress individually about things going wrong, as many of the issues are across the board, and it's reassuring to hear others facing the same problems. It's very easy to just think you're isolated in figuring out what to do in terms of troubleshooting when your VR goes wrong. I know there's the official forums which are used for troubleshooting amongst other things, and that is a good resource, although I do find it can be a bit negative sometimes. I would also encourage you to join my Discord, as there are a lot of very knowledgeable simmers on there who can offer their help and expertise. I can also recommend some excellent YouTubers who are in the same niche focusing on VR. And these are SimHanger Flight Simulation, VR Flight Sim Guy, the VR Pilot, and Overkill Simulations, just to name a few. So if you haven't already, do check them out. You can see that I'm showcasing some different airports and scenery, and I've labelled each one accordingly and left links in the description below. I highly recommend them, they're so detailed, and they all cover both airports and the surrounding areas. I'll start by going through some pros regarding VR and its implementation in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I personally think the VR experience can be absolutely breathtaking once you have your headset and settings dialed in. You can see I have some clear and concise settings guides in the link above. I'll also leave some links in case you want to check them out too. I think once you have it set up and find areas which are not too built up, which means less demand on the system, it's an exceptional experience. However, as we all know, this is so hit and miss depending on your PC build and headset. But when I'm sitting in the cockpit of a King Air flying over the Andes at the break of dawn with the clouds covering some of the snow-capped mountains and the sun breaking through in the distance, I'm in a good place indeed. I do use a lot of accessories with VR, like the butt kicker for example, which does help. But if we're just talking about the VR performance, I would say they nailed it on these types of occasions in terms of performance. I say that with the understanding that this is a 10-year project and that we have made an excellent start. But it is so limited and unpredictable, as you know. Do bear in mind that I have a high-end system, so it's so easy for you to sit here and go on about how amazing it is under certain conditions. I did have a mid-range build last year and it ran VR quite well, so I do think it's accessible to mid-range builds too, using the lower settings. All in all, the positives are definitely positive, and I'm happy with the general performance. However, there are a lot of things Asobo needs to sort out. Of course, we all want to see 90 FPS with photorealistic VR, but honestly, this has been a good start, but they definitely need to do a lot more. And remember, there are a few more days left to enter the Just Flight giveaway by going to my community tab and adding your best caption for this image. Here are some great ones left by some of you, and I think they're absolutely brilliant. So thanks for your great contributions. The deadline for entry is Monday night, so add your caption. The prize is a product of your choice by Just Flight. And I'll be randomly selecting 2 lucky winners to win the prizes. Going on to some cons about VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator, leads me to the most recent problem of not being able to even access the in-game toolbar. Since almost all of us have been saying since the latest update, how could they have even overlooked this? I really don't understand why they haven't released a hotfix for this yet. I know we were all fumbling around over the Control Zero workaround, but come on, I was actually surprised to see the VR problems listed in the release notes. I don't get why they couldn't have just patched this post-launch if needed, even a day or two later, but still we are left waiting for a fix. It seems so basic. I won't go into every tiny problem we face in VR, but the main contenders for me are the small yet irritating problems. For example, the mouse arrow staying on the screen in VR, numerous anti-aliasing problems, blackouts, stuttering, bleached out colours, screen tearing, CTDs, and even blue patches appearing on the landscapes when using the latest driver, which is why I haven't actually updated my drivers yet. I've read on forums hundreds of times that VR is neglected and the attention is on Xbox users. I agree with this to an extent, but at the same time, I can recognise why they do this, since we are a minority and that's not where their bread is buttered. But it does seem like a wasted opportunity for the developers. The reason I say this is that I believe if VR was more developed, it would lead to more positive reviews and in turn bring new VR players to the platform. I know it's about business, but surely they can see the long game in all of this. And if Xbox users started using VR, it would push it even further. As we hear more and more about meta in VR, I like to think developers are seeing the need to cater more for VR users. This leaves me optimistic about more VR implementation next year, as many of the casual users will move on to other games, hopefully leaving more time and energy for Asobo to focus on improving VR and taking it to the next level. Imagine this sim in a few years' time. Will we finally be seeing the similar quality of flat screen in VR? With technology developing, I really hope the overall performance and graphics in VR can be pushed forward and tools such as DirectX 12 and even ray tracing can be implemented at a manageable level. What I mean by that is, having a seamless performance with exquisite graphics in VR is ultimately what we want. With these new high-end headsets coming out, such as the Vario Aero and the Pimax 12K, the hardware is certainly ready. But we don't want this kind of high-end gear to be the benchmark. We want to see the sim further optimized for consumer headsets like the Quest 2 and the Reverb G2, as these make up the vast majority of VR users. I like to think Asobo are heading in the right direction in terms of VR, but lately I'm not so sure. I always try to bring you positive videos, as I believe that positive thoughts are better than negative ones, so why waste your time moaning and complaining about things when you can actually try and discuss it? But I do get incredibly frustrated with the lack of support and planning of VR, and really hope they'll make some more significant developments soon. Most of my videos are made by using information I get from talking to you guys and troubleshooting problems myself. I've never actually sat down and read a manual, since there isn't one. I know things are different in terms of problem solving these days, and we use forums for that, and problems appear and disappear all the time, and that's just a part of development. But more direct support and acknowledgement on the subject of VR from Asobo would make us feel a lot more confident about things moving forward. I want to stress that I remain optimistic and I am a huge fan of VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I wanted to voice some ongoing issues in the hope that Asobo are listening and can perhaps at least address the immediate bugs related to VR. I know there are all kinds of other problems I haven't mentioned in this video, but please feel free to add your 2 cents in the comments so we can get a good idea of what kinds of problems you're facing, but also what kinds of amazing experiences you're having in VR. So I wanted to try and balance it between the pros and the cons. As always, I aim to bring you the most unbiased and informative videos as we go into 2022, and I'm crossing my fingers we will soon experience much more reliability and higher performance in VR. So guys, don't give up with the VR, and use the resources available like my Reverb G2 settings guide and my Quest 2 settings guides here to get the best VR experience possible. And as always guys, thanks for listening, take care, and stay safe.